Just, yeah, to know more people, American people or people around the world. So I am so excited now because maybe I will meet to a nice person, a special
Someone
person for me.
special, yeah.
I hope that.
We hope that.
Yeah.
So, Catherine, maybe you can introduce yourself about your hobbies. What do you do in your free times?
Okay. Well, again, my name is Catherine. So I am Peruvian. I was born in Cusco. So I studied tourism at university. So now I'm working for the government for the culture ministry in specific.
Okay.
So I work in Machu Picchu.
Machu
So,
Picchu, the
yeah,
seven.
yeah. I am supervisor. I am responsibilities in to overseeing the services in around the Machu Picchu, for example, hotels, agencies, restaurants, or about the specific the guys in around the Machu Picchu.
Okay.
Okay, and then well, I love traveling. I love traveling. I love to go out of the comfortable zone. For example, to know new cultures. I love to spend my time with my friends and family too. I love to go shopping. I love music. I love to dance. So
Maybe you can teach dance.
oh good.
Yeah.
I think that maybe American people or American men didn't know
No,
dance,
how to do
like
how to do
salsa,
that.
for example.
Yeah, maybe you can teach.
Yeah,
So
of
maybe you
course,
can.
of course. I have the opportunity. Nice for me.
Yeah, maybe tonight.
Oh, great.
So, Catherine, tell me, this is so important about you that it is important that the men know about you, about maybe what are you.
Warning! No man is prepared for what's happening in Medellin. On May 28th, the city opens the door to real connections and unforgettable first dates. 2 nights filled with dozens of stunning Colombian women, Latinas who want to meet genuine foreign men, ready for something real. No apps, no swiping, just intimate moments that spark real possibilities. Colombia has a way of bringing the right people together. May 28th, Medellin, our Latin tour. One trip and one connection can change everything.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Mi nombre es Abigail, mi ID es 224602. Te invito al Tour Perú-Lima y te invito a que me escribas para conocernos. ¡Chao!
Hola, ¿qué tal? Me llamo Elani, soy de Lima, Perú. Y bueno, y te invito a que vengas a Lima Perú Tour, que se va a realizar el 4 de junio, donde podrás conocerme a mí y además señoritas peruanas. Espero verte pronto allí. Cuídate y hasta luego.
Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Soy Susana y quiero aprovechar e invitarte a Lima Perú Tour que se va a llevar a cabo en junio de este año, en donde podrás conocerme y a otras chicas también. ¡Nos vemos!
Hello guys, welcome back to another Monday night webcast. It's great to see you. Thank you for watching as always, and tonight I'm gonna answer all of your questions about international dating and marriage. And we do have a poll question for you tonight, which is, are you only open to dating foreign women? So let's
Hey
talk
everybody,
about
this is
that.
Craig
And
with
of
Social
course,
Dynamics
as you know, I'm
101 with
gonna
the
remind you
AFA
about
family.
our
Today we're going to
upcoming
talk about
seminars.
staying sharp,
So we just did a great
very
seminar
easy.
in Miami
It's going to be
past weekend. John already back, so he said it was a great seminar. And the next one's gonna be done here in Phoenix, in our Phoenix office most likely. So you get a chance to meet pretty much all of us, or most of us, where I want to show up for work on Saturday. But yeah, definitely looking forward meeting you guys again. June 20th here in Phoenix, so RSVP so we can plan accordingly. We need to see how many of you come, so we can reserve the seats. In London, July 12th, so if you guys watching us from the UK, make sure you RSVP as well. And Los Angeles, end of summer, August 22nd, John and Tanya gonna be doing that seminar. So we're gonna answer your questions. We're gonna have some returning clients, possibly some couples that met through us. It's a 4-hour event. It's absolutely free, so you're more than welcome to come, and we'll answer any of your questions. So whether if you've done a tour or individual tour or some kind of services before, we still can share a lot of new information for you. Maybe you will consider a new destination, or if you only just plan on going on a tour, you can also find a wingman there. If somebody who's also traveling to the same destination, it's always more fun to travel with someone. And let's remind you about our upcoming tours. Well, technically we have a Cebu tour starting in a few days, so you're probably not gonna make it there, but of course we're gonna have another one later on. Well, it's actually next year. It's usually January, May, and we should have one in August. So if you can't make the May one, we have one in August for you. Then Medellin, Colombia, May 28th, that you still have time to sign up for. And of course our Peru tour on June 4th. Hope you didn't miss the previous webcast when we were joined by several beautiful Peruvian ladies, and they were telling you guys why should you go to Peru and meet them in person. And hopefully you send some messages to those ladies after the webcast. And Costa Rica tour, July 2nd, the best way to spend 4th of July. I'm sure you have some time off, so beautiful country of Costa Rica, and especially very beautiful Costa Rican ladies are waiting for you over there. And to start the webcast, we have a very special video for you with a lot of great information. So let's go to that, and then I'm gonna answer your questions.
Hey everybody, this is Craig with Social Dynamics 101 with the AFA family. Today we're going to talk about staying sharp, very easy. It's going to be our style, our hygiene, our approach, our routine, and our presence. When all of those things culminate together to create the presence of an active, viable, handsome guy coming out in the world to meet some new people. Number one, we're going to talk about style. Style being probably the most important thing because it's the first thing that people are going to see when they meet you. The first thing about style is congruency. It's going to be our first signal to the world of who we are internally reflected on the external. So huge things to think about is we don't want to pop out of there wearing, the graphic t-shirts, the political baseball hats, all of these kind of things that maybe are what you're wearing to the gym or hanging out with your buddies. When we're going on these tours and we're out actively trying to meet new people, we're gonna remove a lot of that kind of signaling and work more on signaling our confidence, our approach to the world, and being congruent in that manner. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to get leather shoes. You're going to get some kind of shoe that requires a polish. Whether or not it has laces is different, but we're not going to do sneakers, ball game shoes. We're not wearing Jordans, none of these things. When we're going out on the tours and on actively trying to date, we're going to wear dress shoes. It seems simple, but a lot of people are missing out on this. The other thing we're always going to do is we're wearing pants, and I'm not talking about sweatpants or joggers or something you saw on TV. I'm talking about a pair of expensive or nice or high-end jeans or slacks, something that's impressive, something that looks like you have your life together. That's part of our congruency. And the last thing is whatever shirt we're wearing is going to be something that doesn't go in the washing machine. This is not a washing machine shirt, and it's also not a dryer shirt. We want to be able to be the kind of people that can, manage going to the dry cleaner on our own and picking up our own shirt. And all of these things, as silly as they sound and as much as we're laughing about it, what this communicates to anybody in the opposite sex is that you have your life together. One of the important things about our personal style is it should be a reflection of who you are internally. I'm a firm believer in that. This should reflect your colors, the places you've been in the world, you know, all of your experiences, your likes and dislikes, but it should work at no more of a point than presenting a frame for you and your personality to shine through. It should not take over the messaging of who you are as a person. And that's a problem that a lot of guys have. We're efficient creatures by nature, so we're trying to solve problems ahead of time. And that, you know, that's again where we come back to the shirts with graphics or slogans. There's no slogans going on our shirts. We don't need our clothing to tell the world our beliefs. We're going to do that with conversation, with our presence. I'm not saying that you have to spend a fortune on your wardrobe, but what I am saying is that picking your own clothes and doing this with intention to style, design, and color are going to be monumentally helpful things for you as you try to approach and meet new people. Wearing the clothes that your ex-wife got you or the tie that your daughter got you for Christmas, that stuff is huge and it works well when you're around your family and your friends in those kind of settings. But this is a different setting that we're embarking on. When we're going out on tour and when we're going out to meet new people and date, we're trying to present a current, fresh, excited, today level of person to them. And you may be able to find that stuff at Walmart. You may be able to find that kind of stuff at Costco. Personally, I haven't, but I'm not, you know, thrift stores are a great place to start working on creating your unique style and something that speaks to, you know, a higher level of who you are as a person. And it's a great place to meet people at thrift stores too. Hygiene is one of those things that kind of seems like a no-brainer, but honestly, all guys, you know, especially that we're working, we're taking care of families, we're out in the world trying to achieve all these goals. We often shortchange ourselves first. And one of the first places that guys start to slack off is in personal hygiene. And these things are daily, weekly, and monthly habits. You know, the daily thing should be very simple, which is always, we're going to say, intentional looking design and craft. You know, intentionally having your hair in a certain way, whether you're bald or balding or you have long hair or a fade, these things should look like you're putting daily effort into this and not overgrown or shaggy. Especially unless you're a 21-year-old guy, that look's probably not going to work for you. Ear hair, nose hair, plucking our eyebrows, shaving our faces, you know, to look good. It's the first thing that we overlook when we're in a hurry or we're excited to get out the door and meet new people. But we do not ever want to skip that 2-minute look at yourself in the mirror and just start from the top and work down low. Is your nose clean? There are ears, the hair's poking out of your ears. You know, do you have food stuck in your teeth? Did you brush, floss? Open your throat up, look into your throat. Do you have tonsil stones? These are things that people can smell, the real stuff. You know, they sell a kit on Amazon that you can flush this stuff out with, but having good breath is something that's so huge. And a lot of older guys, you know, I mean, we've learned to look past this in our friends and our families and our parents. And so just because we ignore it in other people doesn't mean that people are going to ignore it in us. And we don't want to miss out on these very simple steps that help us win and help us, you know, achieve what we want for down the road when we're going on the tours and we're dating. We don't want to miss out on these easy little steps. And we certainly don't want to be off-putting to the people that we're spending so much time and energy and effort into approaching in the first place with something as simple as, you know, having crusty eyes or bad breath. Scent is one of the, probably in the most important direct carrier of our pheromones, of our attractiveness, of our basic health. You know, human beings were animals, and you know, women have very highly attuned senses of smell. So smelling bad or smelling too good are equally as important. We want to make sure, obviously, that we're taking a shower and that we're clean before we go out to these tours and we're going out on dates. And we want to make sure that we smell good. We're using cologne, we're using perfumes, things like this, but we're not overdoing it. You know, my teacher in high school always said that you should never be smelled coming or going, that you should only be able to be smelled when you're in direct, close personal contact with a person. A foot away is the extent that somebody should be able to smell you. And that goes for whether you're wearing perfume or Axe body spray or anything like that, or scented lotions. You know, a lot of us are using, are using bath gels or shower gels like that. Those are scented. If you have on scented bath gel and you have on scented deodorant and you have on perfume and you have, the smell from your clothes, from dryer sheets and all that stuff, I mean, you're going to walk around smelling like a department store. And that also is off-putting because the times that people are around you, they can't focus on who you are or what you're saying. All they're going to focus on is what you smell like. Inversely, we don't want to smell like we just got out of a football game, right? So don't show up to these things, smelling like a can of Campbell's soup. We want to come in there smelling and congruent to who we are as successful, confident men. Now that we have our style and hygiene locked in, the next step, no pun intended, becomes the most important, which is approach. And that is how we literally and physically approach another person that we're meeting with the intent to start a conversation and see what happens. Those steps should be casual, confident, and committed. You don't want to walk up in a rush or, God forbid, you're trying to scare somebody or stomp around like a stormtrooper, but you also don't want to come off non-committed. If somebody sees you walking towards them, they're going to prepare themselves internally to speak with you. And if you fitter and, walk away or you seem scared, that is going to affect that person's opinion of who you are. So again, casual, committed, and confident. Once we approach, we want to internally have at least a modicum of an idea what is going to come out of our mouths next. So we don't want cheesy pickup lines. Sometimes those are totally appropriate. And, after meeting several people in one night, it's funny, but we don't want to rely on these kind of things as crutches to prevent our real personality from coming out or actually having human to human connection, which is the goal of everything we're talking about in social dynamics and also the goal of what our coaching is. So we don't want to come off needy. Needy is the opposite of confident. If you come across with the energy that you need this person to continue talking to you after you've made your opener or after you've asked them how the weather is or whatever the first words out of your mouth are, if you subconsciously need them to respond to you or acknowledge you at all, you've already lost. You are kind of like somebody at the zoo or at the botanical gardens smelling the flowers. You lean down, you interact, and should that person interact with you, great. If not, no problem. On to the next. One of the first things that we're looking for is an indicator of interest, which is that somebody wants to interact with us at all. It's probably happening to you more times than you even realize it, but because of some of our past trauma or past relationships, we might have numbed ourselves to that when we're out in public. Indicators of interest are things like playing with your hair, which preening, right? Touch, somebody looking at you and holding contact with you, with eye contact with you. I mean, even a nice long smile can be the indicator of interest to come over and talk and start up a conversation. Learning how to recognize these things is something that we handle directly in coaching, and we can go through and practice these one-on-one so you know what to look for out in the world. And also, maybe even better, you know what not to look for so you're not, going around like a hummingbird smelling every flower. One of the most important parts of the approach is knowing when it's time to walk away. Whether you've hit a dead end or whether you've hit the part where you need to exchange personal information like phone numbers or Instagrams or email or carrier pigeon address, whatever your preferred method of communication is, where two things are going to happen. Either we're going to reach a point where the conversation has reached its natural conclusion, or we're going to reach a point where, the person you're talking to, where she's into you and she wants your information. So knowing how to pull your phone out, get a phone number, knowing how to realize that she's not interested and walk away. These things are really important and they are part of the approach. And at either situation, once you've done the work, the time then is to leave. When you get her phone number, for instance, you don't want to linger around and basically at that point, you're kind of bothering the person you just did all this work to go talk to in the first place, right? So we don't want to do those things. Part of the approach, and maybe the biggest part of the approach, is knowing how to say goodbye and walk away. Thanks for your time, not interested. Here's my phone number, would love to see you again, want to get coffee. Seal the deal, take care, walk away. Walk away confidently, just as confidently as you walked in. Style, hygiene, and approach, all of these daily things come together and they create a routine. And this routine is magnificently important in how we present ourselves as men out in the world. And you know it and I know it, that we can take a look in the mirror, a look at, a look on our phones, or a look down the street and see when anybody's not sticking to their routine. And these are the kind of things that your good friends and good family members and even maybe your children will call out in you. You might get a call that says, Dad, I've noticed that you're putting on some pounds, or I noticed that you're getting pale because you're not going outside, Dad. These kind of things are red flags. So our job as men is to be ahead of these things, to make sure that we are eating healthy, that we are, drinking and having merriment in a responsible fashion, that we're not letting the lesser parts of our character take over. Those all culminate into our routine. And that routine is exactly the congruency that we're showing when we go out and meet people. The routine is what people see. That's why the first impression is so important, because when you're meeting somebody, they can see how you've been living your life for the last 3 months. One of the most important things that all of us men, and I mean everybody to be honest, but all of us men need as part of our routine is the proper amount of sleep. If you are not getting the correct amount of sleep and you are not making sleep and healthy sleep a priority in your life, it's going to show up in your testosterone. It's going to show up in the way your skin looks. It's going to show up in how much you give a damn about yourself. All of these things are going to be evident. And I want you to look at a big picture of your life and what you're trying to create when you invite a woman or another person into your life. Is you are essentially saying, I have created a nest built for two. And you're one of those people. If you are not taking care of yourself and your nest, how can you possibly be able to take care of another person? So this kind of mindset is again, the congruency that we're talking about. We want to show the world and, potential mates and romantic encounters and show these human connections that we can maintain a family, that we can maintain a healthy lifestyle for her and for us. As far as routine is concerned, I am a huge proponent of working out. I know that a lot of us guys are probably afraid of that term because we may have lingering injuries, we may have trauma from the jocks in high school. Some of us are just repulsed or turned off by the idea of just stepping into a gym because of the competitive nature. I understand that. And I know from experience that it's one of those things that not everybody is going to overcome in their life, but every one of us to some extent has the ability to create a healthy fitness lifestyle, unless impaired, physically. So I'm not saying that you have to be a gym rat or spend every waking hour pumping iron. But what I am saying is that you have to have some daily, and I mean daily as in 7 days a week, some amount of time that you're spending connecting with your body to be present in your corpus, to be using your legs on a walk. You can listening to audiobooks or these podcasts out while you're walking around your neighborhood. Any of these things, even if it's 100 push-ups a day, any of these things create and build this routine to strengthen ourselves internally and externally, from breath to hair to skin to fitness to our mindset, like reading, meditation, prayer, if that's what you go for, right? All of these habits are going to form who we are. And they are literally going to form what we look like when we're out in the world. And all of those habits and the way we look and our appearance, all of these things that we've been talking about are going to form our presence. And that becomes maybe the greatest currency we have as men is our presence. Are you the kind of guy that walks into a room and people pinch their nose and turn their back to you? Or are you the kind of guy that walks into a room and people want to shake your hand or give you a hug or give you their phone number? Do you make people feel at ease? I'd like for you to imagine that there's a little light bulb on top of your head, and every time you walk into a room, that light either turns on or it doesn't. How bright is your light? What color does it shine? These are the things that during our daily habits and our daily routines of focusing on ourselves as men and focusing on, being better, being good and being better men, these daily habits are going to be the foundation of what makes you attractive to anybody. Maybe the reason that you're, missing cues or you're slipping, or maybe you're backpedaling a little bit in life is because you're not following through with these fundamental things in the SHARP system, right? You're cutting some corners with yourself And so beyond just the aspect of relationships and dating and, social dynamics, the important part of Sharp is that it's actually helping to keep you at your physical and mental peak health. And, through everything that we've talked about, that's going to be the most important thing. That the biggest takeaway from all this is that you are happier and you are living a better life. I'm really looking forward to hearing from all you guys and helping you get prepared for the tours. And remember, stay sharp.
A lot of good information for you. Now let's go to your questions. Julian says, please tell Anne thank you for the advice she gave me. It worked a treat and things worked out with the lady. I send my thanks and appreciate for her help and support. Well, it's great to hear that you met that special lady and everything is going well. So congratulations. I'm not sure if you're referring to me or Anna from Odessa, but from both of us, you're welcome. And again, we're very happy you met that wonderful lady. Apparat says, question. In the discussion description, you note then undercut themselves with wrinkled shirts, bad shoes, poor hygiene, sloppy posture, or nervous energy. That mistake can cost more than money. It can cost opportunity. The recent Ukraine tour had 7+ hour trip from Odessa to Kiev and allowed 15 minutes prep after sitting on the bus for this long. How do you reconcile this with your statement? Well, I heard about the situation that the bus trip from Odessa to Kiev on the last tour took longer than expected. I'm sure you've seen on your agenda that you're scheduled to arrive at noon and social was 1:15. Normally 1 hour plus is more than enough to prepare for the social. So I do apologize for your experience. That was the traffic on the road that we didn't anticipate and it took longer. It's actually only the second case in 15 years that ever happened. So that I recall, and so usually doesn't happen. And plus in Ukraine, it's only country where we go from city to city. So it's only 2 tours twice a year that we do it. In all other cities, we just stay in one city. So again, I apologize for that trip. But again, that bus ride is supposed to be 5.5, 6 hour stop. So it took longer. But with that being said, 15 minutes still can be enough to prepare yourself for the social. I mean, I had that happen to me so many times because when all the preparations for the social go on and I'm running around trying to finish everything with the stuff before we head on the bus, I have 15 minutes to finish everything, to go to my room, steam my clothes, take a shower, and put the makeup on and get ready to jump on the bus with you guys and go to social. So if I can do it in 15 minutes, pretty sure 15 minutes more than enough for a man to take a shower, steam the shirt. It's it's doable. So, but again, I guess it can be challenging sometimes. So, but in Odessa social, I'm sure you had plenty of time to prepare, and also it's not, again, as I mentioned, not a common situation. So when you go to average date, you have enough time together and prepare for a date. Of course, unless you have 7-8 dates lined up. I had guys doing that. That's super difficult. This way you have only like an hour for one date, and then you have to travel to different restaurant to meet the next lady and the next lady. So that's why we don't recommend to schedule a lot of dates for one day. We'll accommodate you if you want to do that, but it's going to be challenging with logistics. So don't stress yourself out. Make sure it's a pleasant experience for both of you, for you and the lady. So you get to a date relaxed, and of course, don't stress out over wrinkled short dress. Again, so many other factors. It's your demeanor, it's how you act. If you look stressed or nervous or frustrated, that will affect the date more than a wrinkled shirt. But of course, basic hygiene is a must, regardless what country you go. No matter what lady you're meeting, that's definitely the first thing. The next one is from Charlie. Hi Anna, the answer to the poll question is, I don't mind dating domestic women here in Atlanta because I think it can be easier most of the time. However, I do like having the choice dating for women too. So, question, do you recommend group tours to Ukraine over Euroclub for shy men? Well, I still would recommend group tours simply because it gives you more of the opportunities to meet ladies. With the Euroclub, you have a limited number of introductions. So in 7 days, you can have your maximum is 14 dates. Within group tour dates, you get unlimited meetings, so it's more. And even at the social, yes, you can be shy, a little nervous, but that's why we have interpreter and staff to help you and introduce you to ladies. So even if you go to social and end up your choice to stand in the corner for for most of the evening and talk to only 5-6 ladies and get 3-4 numbers, well, it's still a win. It's still half of your Euro club right there. So, and you can then follow up with those ladies. So you don't have to pretend to be someone who you're not. You need to be comfortable. So if you don't feel like going dancing with those ladies, fine. If you prefer to stand at the bar and just drink whatever coffee or whatever it is you're drinking, and again, when you spot a woman that you might be attracted to, might be interested in, just have your assistant, your girl Friday, come after her. She can come, tell her about you, and then just either bring you to her or her to you, and just formally introduce and break the ice. When you do it on Euro Club, again, it's a little bit more complicated, because the lady can come to date. You can find you can find out you're not interested in each other very fast, and you're still stuck on this miserable date for another hour and a half, 2 hours, and or if she speaks English and doesn't need interpreter, then it's just two of you. And again, if you need a little help to break the ice, it might be difficult for you, and the lady will expect you to break the ice. So sometimes having a third wheel in this case can be very, very helpful. Okay, let's see. And those, I was gonna say that those Euro clubs or Latin clubs or Asian clubs are originally designed for people who cannot make it on a group tour for whatever reason. It doesn't fit the schedule. On one hand, it technically looks more budget friendly, but by the time you add your travel expenses to the hotel, it's really almost the same as a cost as a group tour for most of the destinations. Alright, next one second. Makisik says, answer to poll question. I'm interested in dating foreign women, but to a lesser extent, I'm looking locally as well. I figured that I might as well keep all the options open. And it's a great attitude. At the very least, you get to practice dating, domestically. If something comes out of it, great. But, just refresh your skills so it's not too rusty when you travel overseas and meet those ladies. You already feel more comfortable, because it's difficult for a lot of guys if they they've been divorced for a while and they haven't been on a date in a year or 2, 5 years. Sometimes guys write that I have not been on a date 10 years. Of course, you just forget how to ride this bicycle, so you might want to go on a date or two just to refresh your skills. All right. Next one is Apparat. I'm heading out on the July tour and really explore and arranging my own travel between Odessa and Kiev. I agree with the summary for tonight's discussion, but for such a short time before the social sort of inhibits much of this. Well, again, that's definitely your choice. I understand it's stressful to get up early in the morning, leave at 6 to be there. If you hire a private car, absolutely, you're gonna get there faster because, well, if you leave earlier so you can avoid morning traffic, it's one thing, and it can, you don't have to stop. Sometimes guys are gonna ask you to stop at the gas station because they need to use the restroom or something else, so that happens. So yes, you can save yourself half an hour, get to the hotel early, also avoid the line at the check-in. So absolutely. So it's you can take a public bus that they have just leave earlier before the group. And that's what's like $30 for public transportation. Or if you want to hire a private car, don't remember on top of my head, it was like probably about a couple $100. I'm thinking $150 to $100. So yeah, absolutely. So if it makes your life less stressful, definitely go for it. Blue says, I've never been happier, but now I have the right woman, and it would not be possible without AFA. Well, Jeff, I'm glad you met your wife, and actually I'm looking forward to meet your wife in person. Still waiting for that, so hopefully you guys will come to Arizona after all this. And another one from Blue, he says, guys, if you decide to wear a kilt, don't let them talk you out of it. My wife loves me in the kilt. Well, maybe, like, you have great legs, I guess, but I mean, maybe not all guys look great in kilt. I don't know. It's just, I think she likes in kilt just because she loves you. And Blue says, I like to be different, but what draws women to the kilt is the confidence of a man who wears it. So just having a great confidence without arrogance is good. Actually, question, can you wear a kilt if you don't have Scottish background? Stu says, what should a man budget beyond AFA tour package? That will vary per destination. So for example, if you travel into a country where a lot of ladies don't speak English, so interpretation services is going to be a big part of your budget. So if you go to Ukraine, let's say, it's going to be $30 for the first hour and $25 per each additional hour. So think about that. So you're going to be there for a week. If you're dating mostly ladies who don't speak English, then you're probably going to be spending, I mean, easily $100 a day on the interpretation services. In other countries, interpretation services can be cheaper, like in Latin America, it's about $20. So you can save a little money that way. Or if you go to a place like Philippines where everybody speaks English, well, that's you don't have to worry about that. And how much you spend on a date also will depend on the destination. I mean, in most of the places, as long as you don't go to super fancy places, you probably $40-50 per dinner, and unless you order black caviar, they go overly fancy. I mean, in Kyiv you definitely can spend, and you probably will spend more than that, because there are a lot of expensive restaurants, high-end places, and usually ladies prefer to go to nice places. So unless it's a coffee date, yeah, budget probably $50 per meal. Again, depending where you go. You can go just for a walk in the park and drink some coffee too. But it depends on a woman, depends on the weather, and of course depends on you. But other than that, I mean, some destinations we offer additional excursions, like basic ones like tour of a city, and some other stuff is included. But for a lot of destinations, if you want a tour of an island or something like that, then it might be extra $100, $150, up to $200 per excursion, if it's like a day trip. So just really depends what you're doing. Hopefully that answers your question. Steven asking, how many introductions can a man realistically expect? Well, depends. Also, I keep saying depends, but it's there is no universal answer to that. So depends how. A lot will depend on your list. I usually say you're gonna meet about half of your list. I mean, so imagine average list that one guy didn't write to a lot of ladies, maybe wrote a few. So if you give us a list of about 40 ladies, most likely you're gonna have around 20 dates, so between 18 to 25, something like that from that list. A lot will depend on the age gap and other factors, that you request. If you request a list of, just top-notch supermodels with 40 years age gap, we might not be able to get to even 50% of that list. So it can be way less than that. So a lot of factors: how big the list is, how realistic expectations are. I would say on the tour, out of what I see, most of the guys end up having 2, maybe 3 dates a day on average. Again, if we're generalizing here, but again, I've seen people who manage to have more than that, 6, 7. Again, 8 dates is personal high score that I saw there. Again, I don't recommend that. That's a little too crazy. But you definitely can do that if you'd like. Just tell our staff what you're comfortable with. Plus, remember, you need to also plan time that you're going to be spending with ladies on follow-up dates. The game plan is not to have a bunch of first dates and just line up. That's the reason also why we don't line up all the dates in advance before you get there, because so many factors can affect it. You can meet a girl at a social that you really like, and you would want to spend most of the time with her when she's off work, but we already line up 3 other ladies for that time, and you would have to make a choice. So you're gonna go out on dates that will line up for you, or you're gonna spend time with this lady exclusively. And if you decide to date one exclusively, then we're gonna have 3 angry ladies calling our stuff because they were prepared for this date, they might make time, and then it was canceled at the last moment. So we'll see. All right. George is asking, how should a man prepare financially for a serious relationship overseas? Well, you not only need to plan your travel costs there and the cost of the tour, whatever services obviously you're arranging, but also you need to budget for the spending money there, as we're just talking about money to go restaurants, interpreters, just some activities with the ladies. And after that, you need to be also prepared for, if you meet the one, you need to be able to financially afford to follow up seeing her, so whether you go back to her country a few months later and spend time with her, or you take a vacation, 2 of you together and somewhere in the middle, because she won't be able to come to the United States. You would need to be able to calculate the financial expenses with the migrations. And that can vary because government fees for fiancé visa, it's approximately $1,000, but also if you use an attorney, it probably will add another $3,000 to your bill. And of course, when she comes here, there is also lovely green card, which is going to, by the time you settle down, is going to be easily $2,500 again if you're not using an attorney for that. So that will add up and sounds like a serious number, but all of it is not going to be done in 1 year. So it's from the moment between you decide to travel and go through this first part of travel, meeting the lady, then second year is you're dating and waiting for the fiancé, then the third, that's your immigration part. So you're gonna spread those expenses over the course of over 3 years really. So it's not like you have to be have all these funds available, but yes, make sure you have those funds because you definitely will need it. And Julian says, no one is that much of a slob. Personal hygiene is second nature. No one lives in the cave and has no understanding of dress code. I'll tell you stories, but there are stories. One time our office manager had to give a gift of shower gel to a guy just to as a hint that really need to take that shower. You think adults aware of that, but sometimes they're not, and especially they forget if they travel into a hot and humid country. That might require extra effort, So guys, if you're going to like Philippines or Costa Rica, be careful with all that. Blue says, good evening, Anna. How's married life? My wife is now with me in the States and life is great on my end. Hey, I didn't know so visa was approved and she came. That's fantastic. That's great news, Jeff. And again, my question is, when you come into Phoenix? Apparat, thank you for addressing this and explaining the unique historical common scenario. Yeah, literally, I've been doing that for 15 years. So other than the case that you mentioned, only one time it happened when I was doing a tour to Kharkov. Well, it was a Kiev tour, a Kiev-Kharkov tour. And so we're driving just fine. And it was right before the war started. The piece of rock hits the side of the bus, just the glass, and the glass shatters. Guys freaked out, thinking like Russians started shooting us. Like, no, it was just a rock. But the driver refused to continue driving. He's like, nope, because if I leave the place, I need to call police. So they write a report, because he's going to be responsible. The way Ukraine insurance works, he'll be financially responsible for fixing it. That's going to be more than this 3 months salary. So of course he would just refuse to go, and would just stand on the side of the road in the heat for I don't remember how long, but it felt like forever. Probably, I'm thinking hour and a half, until we finally financially agreed to something with the driver that we're gonna compensate him for this glass, and he finally continued driving the bus. I couldn't drive that bus, so we ended up getting there just the same thing, right before the social begins, and the guys are hungry. I remember that. I have 30 hungry men, so I end up calling my staff in Kharkov, had them just order some sandwiches on the house. It's just because that's the only thing the kitchen in the hotel could handle at that time, because 30 hungry guys. So by the time they arrived, at least there were sandwiches on the tables. I can snack on it. so nobody's hangry at the social, and just quickly change and go for it. So then, turn out to be a good social, but yeah, it was a little challenging, very stressful. I definitely don't forget that. So hopefully that, your case, that trip was the last time that happened. I'm not anticipating anything ever happening, but again, with that tour, it's really hard to leave earlier, because even leaving at 6 a.m., it's difficult for guys to, check out, be in the lobby that early. A lot of people are just not prepared, and then you go chase everybody, call in the rooms, because somebody, of course, gonna be oversleeping that. But hey, again, hopefully that will never ever happen, although it technically might in another 5-10 years. Life happens. Chris says, what should a man avoid saying on the first date overseas? Well, there's so many things people can say wrong, but I would say, just as for general advice, don't turn a first date in a job interview. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Especially in Ukraine, they really hate this question, because life is so unpredictable right now, so different. You don't know what you're going to be doing 3 hours from now with everything what's going on. Not mention you cannot have a long-term plan. So don't ask that type of questions, but with that being said, you still can ask serious questions. And I was just reading the statistics that the chances for the second date increase for about to 80% or something like that, if two people had a deep conversation on the first date. So if you did ask meaningful, deep questions, so you're trying to get to know her on a deep level, not only just chatting about, oh, what a lovely weather, is going on now, or what are your plans for the weekend. So just think about a few deep in-person questions, prepare for that, and it's gonna really help. But just not job interview, so there needs to be a balance. Joe says, I tried salsa classes, I still can dance, and I'm not too keen on making a fool of myself on a dance floor. It's okay, just you're gonna be fine. You don't need to be super professional dancer. Ladies in Latin America like to dance, so just as long as at least you try, and she'll help you. And then it will also help you feel if there's a chemistry connection. It's a great tool to make things more informal and again break the ice. So if so nobody's gonna laugh at you and judge. It might be laughing from fun, because it's not gonna be laughing at you, they're gonna be laughing with you. You can turn everything into a joke. Jared says, how much should a man clean up his life before inviting someone into it? Well, it has to be pretty clean up, because otherwise you're gonna set yourself for disaster. We do have executive service, VIP service, and before we start working with a client, we spend like half a day or a day with him, getting to know him, and we ask a lot of questions about him, basically trying to see if there is something that will, in the future will prevent him from either meeting someone, or some issues that's gonna come up along the way. And it's a lot of questions, we're asking about, personal background, of course, for formal marriages, relationship, story with parents, if there's kids, what's, anything that can impact relationship in the future. So just, I definitely recommend to, before you sign up for anything, before you start writing letters, before you sign up for the tour, just think if you really can bring a person in your life. If you're going through a divorce process right now, maybe it's better to wait until that thing is done, and exactly how it's gonna look like on the other side. Financially, if you're not quite there, don't spend your last dime and go on the tour. I know a person who just wanted to do it so bad, he put it on 4 different credit cards. I'm like, oh my god. It's really not good idea. I mean, you're a grown man, you can do what you want, but it's not a good idea. You should not be paying for the tour with 4 different credit cards, because clearly you're not financially there. So you meet this woman, what are you gonna do with her after? Because again, you won't be able to afford immigration services and anything else after that. And you need to be able to afford her when she comes to your life, because she's gonna come here, she's not gonna be able to work. And And if she will be able to work, most likely when she gets her documents to work, it's unlikely that she's going to be breadwinner. And so even if she's career oriented, it's going to take years to build a career in the foreign country. So you need to be prepared for that you're going to be making most of the money for this household for foreseeable future. And of course, you need to be financially ready too. Again, so many cases. I know guys that would go meet someone and just the last moment end up having cold feet because they're just not ready to lose this bachelor life and just enjoying it too much. Not a very common case, but it happens. So just think about it. Julian, to answer tonight's poll question, yes, I have given up on UK women. Then foreign women it is. Chihawk, on my first tour to Kiev 10 years ago, we had a young guy in our group who was about to go to a social in a t-shirt, baseball cap, shorts, and sneakers. An older guy got him a suit. See, that's all about camaraderie, guys. So you need to have a wingman. so somebody has to tell you that you cannot go to, not only to a social, God forbid, but also to a date, because I had guys doing it. Yeah, it's a summertime, so they put shorts, t-shirt, have a baseball hat on, socks, and flip-flops. Again, guys, flip-flops and socks, don't do it, please. It should be illegal anywhere on this planet. Just don't do that, and especially in Ukraine. That I can't imagine any Ukrainian woman just rolling her eyes up like seriously, I'm just showing up here in a nice dress and heels, was all looking beautiful, and you just came here in socks and flip-flops. Steve says, how does a foreign affair screen women before events? Well, overall, when the lady joins the website, in most of the cases, she signs up in one of AFA offices, so she physically comes to the office. She needs to give us her passport so we can make a copy. In some offices, we do, like Philippines, they like to take photos right there. They have a mini studio, so they take photos right there. In other destinations, ladies just provide us with their photos, especially if it's Ukraine. A lot of ladies have professional photos. So verify your contact information, make sure the phone number, email, and everything is correct. If somehow a lady, in some locations we are able to check marital history and just make sure that she's not currently married. In some places we also require a copy of birth certificate. So the registration process might slightly vary by the destination, but at the very least we definitely get a copy of the passport for each lady. And if she registers online, she cannot come to one of our offices for whatever reason, then we'll do video verification with her. Again, make sure that everything matches, her passport, her photos, and what she says, and just talk to her briefly about what she's looking for, because it will help matchmakers to find her a better match. When it comes to social events, for the ladies who are registered, it's pretty easy. They just come, sign the roster sheet because we already have their information, then they can proceed. But we also have some ladies that are not on the website yet, that they come with their girlfriends, or sisters or whatever, aunts, mothers, that already register on the website, but they still need to go through the registration process. Of course, we don't have 30-40 minutes to spend with each of those ladies. There are 20 of them waiting in line to enter the social and the new profiles. We'll just quickly take their information, their passports, and we just let them go in after they sign the paperwork. But then we follow up after the social and just asking, hey, how did you like the event? Do you still want to proceed with the service? Are you still interested? And so then stop by the office and we'll complete the process at that time. Sometimes there are cases when not all ladies just want to do it. So, just not all of them feel comfortable, for example, because we have a lot of ladies in the room. It could be, last Ukraine events, 160, 170 ladies in one room, and 15 guys, or they're like, not my cup of tea, I'd rather not. So okay, well, you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. We're not going to force anyone, because we're trying to find the ladies who are motivated and seriously looking for a foreign husband. Paul says the language translation feature in Viber worked for my wife and I. We only had interpreter with us on the first 2 dates, and that's what I say. You don't have to use the interpreter at all times. It's very helpful to have interpreter at least on the first date to make sure you understand each other correctly, because with electronic translation, no matter how great the AI is, there is still something that can be lost in translation, and on the first date it's super important to be on the same page. After that, if you're comfortable, then you just can do your own thing and use AI headphones, Google Translate, Viber Translate, whatever it is you prefer to use. There are so many tools. And of course, another reason why ladies prefer to have interpreter on the first date, for the safety reasons, because you never know. It's still online dating, as you guys hear horror stories, they also hear horror stories, or maybe they already had unpleasant experience themselves. You never know. Sometimes guys can be just rude or acting strange, or I've heard those, I've seen those stories myself. So that's why I want to have interpreter as a buffer on that first date, and see, yeah, this guy is nice, and then I want to go out just with him. And yeah, and then AI translation it is. All right, second. Joe is asking, do guys take the tour already have a list before arriving, or do they make a list once they're there? Please make a list before you go. You'll make everybody's life easier. So we're gonna ask for 2 different lists. One for the social invites. It's usually about 15 profiles plus minus, depending on destination. Michelle in the group tour department will tell you how many she needs. So you're gonna send your list, and we're gonna invite those ladies to the social. We need that list usually no later than 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks prior to the tour, so the staff has time to contact those ladies and invite them, and ladies can plan accordingly. And the second list you can send us is for just individual dates, maybe some ladies you've been corresponding with, you've seen on the website, and that you're super interested in meeting. So send us that list, and there is no limit on how many profiles you want to include in that. You can send us 40, you can send us 50, you can send us 100 for all that matter. And we're gonna start working from the top of that list, towards the end. But they're not gonna, as I was just saying earlier, they're not gonna line up 7 days worth of introductions before you get there, because again, we don't know how things gonna go. But they'll prearrange a few and contact other ladies, just saying, hey, this guy is potentially interested in you. Are you gonna be in town for such dates? They're not gonna schedule anything specific, but at least they're gonna touch base with some of those ladies. Paul says, do your homework with women's database, develop a list of women you'd like to meet before you leave. See, Paul knows what he's talking about. So yes, definitely have your list ready. Joe says, I saw the FA movie with David Arquette. They made the list at the foreign headquarters when they got to Russia. Well, because the movie is 30 years old, and at that time internet was not such a big thing. You actually had catalogs at that time. So yes, in those cases you had to wait until you get to the destination, actually open those books. I still remember, and just browse that. But now we have a magic of internet, and you just go to loveme.com. It's not like it's any different database that you're gonna find over there. So you go search engine, you enter your criteria, select a destination, we'll pull up all available profiles, and you just write down the one that you like. Malibu Ed, that was a great Kharkov trip you just mentioned. Can AFA include the K-Town group tour again, or possibly for a club tour, since there are new profiles from Kharkov? I am not going to Kharkov. He'd be my guest. I'm not leading that tour. I still want to be alive. No, Kharkov gets a lot of hits, and I would not be tour leader for that one. You can do that one. You know what you do, and you can be the next tour leader for that. So to answer your question, no plans to include any eastern cities of Ukraine at this time while war is going on. Once the war is over, we'll be happy to go back to Kharkov. Fantastic city, so many nice ladies. As far as the club, I would need to, individual introductions, we definitely can coordinate remotely, but as far as working with the local staff, I would need to, because we don't have an office there, we're working with affiliate partners, I would need to actually reach out to them, see if they How they do, and because a lot of people relocated, we might not have physically anyone in Kharkov at this time. So that I would need a couple of weeks to check on if you decide to go. But again, at the very least, individual introductions. Gilbert, other rules for communications after the tour? No rules. You just exchange direct contact information, stay in touch on the messenger, whatever messenger is, Viber, WhatsApp, Line, WeChat, Telegram, whatever it is you guys like. Just stay in touch directly because we're not involved at this point. Joe says, I could try combi dancing perhaps. It's easier, salsa is harder than it seems, guys. I know nothing about it. I'm a horrible dancer myself. So Sterling says, what is the difference between the single and group tour? Does a single tour include a social event? So individual tour is when you select a destination where we can provide the service. The cost is $24.95, so $2,500, and it's just a package of introductions. Really, I mean, it's such a name, individual tour, but again, in reality, just a package of introductions. You get up to 2 meetings a day for 7 consecutive days. You will be responsible for your travel arrangements, your hotel and all that. And there will be no events because you come in by yourself. Because we don't do individual tours during the group tour dates. When we have a group in town, offices closed, they don't help anybody else, they focus on the group. So yeah, when you come on your own, unfortunately, there is no socials. And that's why I recommend to guys to do a group tour if possible. I mean, if they can do it. If not, then there is this Latin Asian or Euro Club or individual tour, however we call it. We definitely can assist. Brian says, for cases where things like the lady's marital status can be confirmed, is that disclosed to men? Not really, because the thing is, we can't really confirm men's marital status either. What we can do, we do sex offender check and stuff like this, and the personal background form that you guys fill out, that's what we give to ladies to sign. Technically, you can lie in that if you want, because there is no way we'll know that. It's not like we're asking a divorce decree from every guy either. So the same with the ladies, we ask, are you divorced? She says yes. In again, some locations where we do have access to the government database, we can do it, but it's again super rare. So we usually don't. And the thing is, even if a lady can bring us divorce decree, doesn't mean that she didn't remarry to the husband number 2 or 3 since then. So it really, doesn't show us anything. If people want to lie, they'll lie. But with that being said, again, my 15 years doing it, I'm thinking I recall 1, maybe 2 cases when a lady was legally separated and it was divorce still going. But two legal separate, and they disclosed it, so they were not hiding it. Like, yeah, I mean, filed it, but it's just the divorce taking longer than it usually is, because especially if the child is involved, it takes longer. So usually guys are okay with that. So as long as all this information is disclosed, and there is no reason for a lady to lie too on her marital status, because imagine the relationship work out and she needs to relocate to the United States. Then that's when she needs to provide all this paperwork to U.S. Immigration Services. Then when it's all really get verified, because government can verify it much better than we can. So there's only so much we can do. Okay. The last question for today, I think, from Sterling. In order to attend social event, I need to purchase $36.95 package, correct? Well, social will be included, yes. So $36.95 will cover 2 socials, your accommodations for 7 days, and unlimited meetings, an airport pickup. So your flight is not going to be included. In some cases, we can do just, some locations, we can do just social event. It's $1,000 per each social. If you just want to come to the social, you don't need any additional services. You're not going to meet any ladies, so you just want to purchase a ticket to event. You can do that, but it's not for all destinations. We can do it, especially for Ukraine. Usually it's not the case because those tours are sold out 6 months out. It doesn't make sense for us to to do the socials only, because we barely can accommodate the tour guys. So, but in some places, if a tour is not sold out and we have spots, why not? I mean, we can do it. We just don't do it too far in advance. Make sure you reach out to Michelle in the group tour department about a couple of weeks prior. She will tell you if there's spots left, and yeah, we'll be happy to help. Okay, that was the last question for today. Thank you for amazing questions tonight, guys. Really appreciate that, and looking forward to seeing you next time. Have a good night.